I don't know your title, President, CEO of the Vermillion Chamberhead, okay? And he's going to talk to us about economic development in Vermillion and Clay County. So please help join me in welcoming Jim Peterson. Oh, we got to. What do we got to do to get that out of there? That's it. We're ready? Okay, perfect. So just again, Jim Peterson with the Chamber. Just like to go through our mission, serve Vermillion area and businesses to grow and prosper. And then our main thing, we like to make things happen, and we like to connect a lot of people, grow the area, and be a leader. So we're talking on economic development today. 12:35, so we're going to brief it up about a 15 minutes so everybody gets out of here on time. So high level, I can stay around after if you have questions. So what is economic development? It means a lot to different people, and it means a lot to different communities. And we kind of bridge it between community and true business development. So it's really trying to improve businesses in our area and quality of life. Questions? So we engage Dakota Resources, one of our lender, and they do what makes a thriving community. A little blurry, but you really have economic development on top, right? New businesses, help existing businesses, entrepreneur support, and then you have community below, but they're really blended, so it's easier to show on this slide. So you have economic development and you have community development. Community development has a lot of ties between the two. You need housing and infrastructure to get new businesses. You need childcare for the workforce. So there's a lot of ties back and forth. So they're really merged together now in a lot of places between a chamber and economic development. You work closely with the cities and the counties and other leaders. These are just a couple slides. So directionally they'll show things. It's right from the state. So you can see our population. A couple months ago was 11,695, and then with the county it's like a little over 15,000. You can see the unemployment rate very low, right? 2.5% really full employment, and you can see how many are employed. So again, just directionally you want to see things. Median household income that they did for us. Clay County is 59, the whole state is 83. Big ones you get into is, here is housing. We have about 4,600 housing units on the last census, excuse me. But if you really look at Clay County, 18% of folks spend more than 50% on housing. Just directionally facts, so we have work to do. This one was, I think, interesting to us, and we'll show it in a bar chart. Where do your property taxes go, right? First of the year, you get that nice letter last week, you open it up, get pissed off, throw it aside till April. How can that be? 47% goes to the schools, 31 to the county, or 14, and 14 to the city. So you really look at 31% county, 47 to the schools, and then you have the others. So that's why we talk, how do we improve that tax base? This is just a breakdown of an example of a levy. If you really looked at your statement, city, county, they get the Vermillion water basin, there's a little school opt-out, and then a stormwater fee. But this is the one that shows us where money goes. So if we bring in new property, help on investments or new businesses, hopefully that's increasing the tax base over a number of years. If there's a TIF or not, 5 to 7 years, then the county is going to get 13% of that tax. School is going to get 47, or excuse me, county gets 37, school gets 47, city 14. So I'm justifying my job, right? If we get people to come in, we get taxes go up, they can fund it, and we keep going forward. And then we need good schools, good housing, you need childcare, things like that. But I thought that was an eye-opener to most people, that our taxes, how much we go and how much they collect. If you really look at it, that's 25 million comes back through in the taxes from the county. So now we'll talk more on economic development. So if we look at last year kind of year in review, what do? We have Goodwill Industries, right? You could say it's great they're coming or not. If we have land for sale, we don't say, gee, we don't want you to come. We put it up for sale. Anybody can come and buy it. Goodwill Industries did. We have Les Schwab Tires Company, which is by O'Reilly's, under construction. You have Caribou Coffee came pretty much on their own, completed. And then The boxes or storage up by Casey's across from Walmart will be a Dollar Tree. They'll break ground and put that in first of the year. Some other projects we worked on were Pulse Church and Daycare, Jensen Kennels, you can just read that. So those are things, but a lot of times they just come in by and they happen. We are working closely, city, county, looking at planning, zoning, where is some future land for housing or light industrial, heavy industrial. Because without land, and we're kind of landlocked by the farmers, we don't have it to grow. And that's okay. If we don't want to grow, then we don't grow. Now let's just, and we may have done this before, but as a reminder, what does VCDC own? Well, we own land by Erickson, which is by Runnings. So if you add all that up, it's about 15 acres we still have to sell. By Brooks, which is by AMS, we have 5.9 acres. And then we own these buildings that are leased out. Market Street, VTC Center, which is Guidehouse Biomat, National Music Archives, and then McVicker where we are. So we own those properties, unlike other chambers don't have properties, etc., but this is what we have today. And we manage those properties and have tenants. So last year we had 8 requests come through the state to us. So we get our leads, some are direct, some are through the state, some are word of mouth. And of those, we declined every one to bid on. Didn't submit, we want them here. Why? You can look, and these are code names, but you look at the acreage or square footage or number of employees they want. So we have to say what's realistic to spend our time. We say it's more realistic to work with our local businesses to help them expand, make sure they stay. If they're going to sell, we work with the new owners. You know, I didn't have anybody clamoring on the one Department of Corrections where they wanted that 100 or 200 acres up by Harrisburg, Lincoln County. None of you said, let's go get that and 700 jobs here, but didn't happen. But we do get leads from them and we assess a lot of these, some of these buildings like that last one, we could maybe do that, but they wanted a building ready right away. Can we move into it? So just gives you an idea, but we are connected through the state. We did bring the state down, talk to our lending institutions so everybody knows the financing available. Then there was a study the chamber did not communicate as well as maybe we should have in June of 21, like what businesses should we go to try to attract to Vermillion. Some are in the professional area, some are IT. We could have data centers, advanced manufacturing, like would be a supplier to Mesaba. Some of the specialty things they buy elsewhere or Mesaba could, that type. Distribution, and then specialty ag. I mean, it's usually the school to the north, but we can get more of that down here. You know, so they suggested there we go direct recruitment and then we go through go-ed and things. So we've had discussions with some firms and we try to go through a network of people to bring them to Vermillion. You know, so what have we done? We assist selling a business, succession planning, right? We don't want to have a vacant building. Sometimes it's too late when we know about things. We help some couple people, entrepreneurs, if you last read the Verb magazine, started new businesses this year. We try to help them get off to a good start and do check-ins. We're trying to do some more general business training. We work with various sources on financing. And then, you know, when a company does come to town, we want to make sure we're in the forefront and they go to our contractors in town for dirt work, cement, contract, everybody gets a chance at it. So that's a big thing we did. So is everybody bored? Is this all the things you knew we do? And I'm not making a calendar as you want me to, Tim. Not going to happen, just saying. He's out there, economic development, he's thinking. So then we ask people too, what do you want to see in Vermillion? What amenities or more things to do? We hear that a lot. We do a little survey. We'll have another one coming out. Or restaurants, right? Everybody wants a restaurant. Then you got to find workers. You don't want to just move one worker from one place to the other. We did make strides after about 8 months. We know who Walmart. We have the right contacts for their land in front of Walmart. They won't sell it. They will lease it on 10-year leases, but that was a win we felt because it took us about 8 months to get that. Right? If you go talk to the town, they tell us everything we do, so we just monitor that, so we get a little advice. We don't comment because we don't want to validate them. But if people do have ideas, or if you have a friend that's looking to relocate a business from another state or something, let us know, because there are incentives and things we can do. A lot of inhibitors, you don't have a lot of land. And we've spent a lot of time on housing this past year in this ICAP group with the city, county, a lot of people. We did these 7 forms on housing where we are today or not. So on a positive, Bliss 2, we have 24 lots available. We sold 21 last year, 30 been sold. Bliss 1, we still have 2 commercial lots available and 2 residential. The interesting point up here is the value of Bliss Point 1 is about $23 million in tax base. So if you think pre-folks who was on the Vermillion Now campaign or in the chamber to get that land bought, very gracious of the Bliss family to sell it to the chamber to be developed. And that is about 3 years off. I always get it wrong. I think we're 3 years early on the TIF. John, is that about right?
No, we're more than 3. 2025 partial amount will be refunded at the end of these, and 26 all of that.
So all this extra tax base on that 23 million, say, 500,000 will come back to the city, and then it gets distributed, school district, county, and the city. And hopefully as we do Erickson Group or other developments, that's how it all flows. Jefferson Street, we still have 8 lots if we ever choose to put the city road in. Cities on projects, we're closely with them, but it's the Jolly School site. I think there's been some public meetings. There's going to be housing in the park. And then there are cities in the Jack Powell edition, we're working closely with them on some arrangements what that'll look like. And then we're also, as I mentioned, working to identify, acquire land, talking. We know every empty lot in town, who owns it, what price it is, if they're willing to sell. And then we branched out to the outskirts of town. Who owns it? Are we talking to them? What's their thinking? Because without land, we can't do that much. That's Bliss 2, if you haven't seen it. All the ones with the dots are sold. So that's what we do. We meet with the builders and realtors, got land. We have 2 additional builders at Bliss Point at this time, maybe a third. One was Level Up. Is going to build 2 houses. They're out of Hardington. We have Rick Erickson, who had built here before, came back. He has 4 lots there. Then we have other ones that'll build multifamily homes. We just have to find some land. So we focused on housing, then we go into daycare. We did get a child care grant. We're working with all parties in town, see what we can do there. Then we'll go after businesses. So, thanks for everything. I'll answer questions. If you haven't read it, it's great. 13 Ways to Kill Your Community. Great book. Success is about attitude, right? We're all positive people in here. And then if you look at on the 18th, we do have the business after hours, VCDC, chamber, and up next, the 22nd, we're having a VCDC annual business meeting, free. Come have a beverage. And then on January 25th, upcoming, we have a Learn Over Lunch with John Cole and Betty Smith, talking about what they've done, where they're going, how we work together. And those will be great. Time to, network, mingle, get out there. So questions for about 5 minutes, we're ahead. Hopefully this was your expectation, just a brief overview, economic development, what we're doing, where we're going. Tim.
I don't know how much you can comment on this, but I was struck by the projects that the state had sent down and that we decided not to do. Is there any place that can support the need for 3,400 workers like the Marathon Project wanted? What is the Marathon Project?
Yeah, we can't go into details what they are, but probably not. So it's some, and then we really watched when I first came to Chamber, how many of all these requests come to South Dakota. If they're outside the state, maybe you get 3%. Very few ever, they're just feelers. But in the state, you do have success stories, like you heard True Shrimp, or there's one out in Lake Preston. The one in Lake Preston, I don't think ever happened. I don't know how you can get that many workers, but okay. So that's kind of how we judge, what's realistic or not. At one time, 5 years ago, they wanted to put that turkey farm, went down to Omaha or whatever, you needed like 700 workers. Like, could you get 700 workers? I don't even think you get that many over 5 years, personally, but we would go after it if they deemed it's a criteria we want. So we're just trying to be more realistic, and we want to leverage the university more. So you want back office, white collar, or IT, cybersecurity, those are more reasonable, smaller size companies, probably 5 to 20 range is something we could do and fit in. Because we all know, right, when somebody wants to relocate to Vermillion, I say, okay, where am I going to live? Is there a house available? We do surveys on apartments. Are they open or closed? How can we get more multifamily? those things. Good question. Anything else you want to know? Yes, sir.
Some months ago, there was a little discussion on social media, and they're talking about affordable housing, and I said something like, well, at $125 a square foot, now that doesn't sound particularly affordable, and I was corrected by one of our members who said it was probably $200 to $250 a square foot. What is your estimate to build a residential home today per square foot?
I could defer to the better expert than me in the room if she wants to comment, or I'll take a stab at it. It's
It's tough to say. I mean, new construction is about 225 a square foot.
yeah, you're,
Finding places for people that live in current homes to create affordable housing at starting home level. So I think housing, you can't really build it for the first-time homebuyer as much anymore. You need to move people from established housing into that new housing. So,
Yeah.
but the program that you have that helps people fix their
we went for a grant to try to improve existing housing stock. We got turned down. We'll try it again, right? Because you want to fix up homes people live in. But Jesse's right. It's $225 to $3.25 a square foot for a new house. So if you look at Bliss Point, even at 1,200 square foot, no frills is going to be $300,000. The average medium, the new medium price South Dakota is $380 for a house, new build. You know, I don't know if you know anything different. No, I mean, yeah, 300 plus is the cost of a new house. So what's affordable? You know, especially if you look at 60,000 average pay. If they both work, that's 120. You put a person in childcare. So, you know, and you look at the ratios, it gets hard. Yes, sir.
There's a strong need for housing in Vermillion.
Yes.
Yet we have all the houses at Bliss Point, or all the lots that remain unsold. What's the biggest barrier to selling them and getting a house on the lot?
We have 21 lots left. If you went back with that housing study, we should have like a 2.5-year supply. So we're way undersupplied of lots today. We're really limited by builders. So we have usually we have 2 great builders. We're fortunate, AMS, Martz. Now we have 2 more that are just starting to build there short term. So we need to find some more residential builders. Because our builders go out of town too for different homes and different places. So some is, you know, and who could afford, till now there's a couple specs out there, but they'd usually only build pre-solds.
When the builder builds on a lot, do they buy the lot and then improve it and then sell it?
Yes, we sell the lot to the builder. We've done a couple contracts for deeds, smaller lot to simulate builds, but we still get paid. It's, you know, we don't discount them, any of that. Just like those businesses come in, we don't discount the lot substantially. They're paying to come to Vermillion. But if you look around town, there's not that many, and John and I know more, and a couple others in the group. We spend a lot of time on where you could put multifamily housing that fits the neighborhood, or rezone, and can you get it rezoned?
To answer to Joe's point there, and I believe both builders do this, but just say I wanted to buy a house and I went to Mark Brothers and I said I want that lot and I want this house on it. They actually buy it and they build the house to my specs and then they just sell the whole thing. So it's not like they're just necessarily buying up the lots to put spec homes.
Right, they can't.
Probably have a buyer.
Yeah. So there's whole criteria within Bliss Point, timeline they have to build by or not, or get permission, how it looks to that community, which will be similar to Jolly. It has to be aesthetically appealing, etc. We have all our lots listed with realtors, so they buy them through a realtor to us if the process works right. Other questions?
Do you typically have a few businesses you're trying to get here, or?
We have about 4 or 5 in the pipeline right now of new builds, you know, little companies or bigger that you have to get back to.
And that would be fairly typical?
Yes. You know, and some are great, right? New restaurant, Mexican restaurant out on the highway, little cantina. You work with them, he talks to the builders, and all of a sudden they go away, right? You don't hear from them, they won't return your call. You also look at, we had a call this week, what's my incentive to come to Vermillion? You gonna give me free land? You gonna give me tax break for 10 years? You know, things like that. Or do I get a credit per person? Then we involve the state on certain things. You know, because some cities do that, some states do that.
Do we do that?
We don't have luxury, a lot of those. We will entertain it, or I'll take it to our board. What are we able to do? But traditionally, no. You know, if a company expands, you can get credits on workforce. We can give them low-interest loans, 2%, 3% for a set portion. So there are financing options we have. But you don't have, just like a company may want to come today, well, I want to put a new, for example, towing company in Vermillion. Do you have a spec building I can buy right now? No. Do you have a spec building? Would you put it up and lease it to me? No. But other cities in our very close proximity will do that. So it gets back into that whole, what is your philosophy of economic development? How aggressive you want to be, and what can you afford? So, anything else? That's it. If you have other questions, let me know. Thanks for your time. Appreciate all your support.